Hey there everyone, welcome back to Broadway by Ghostlight. I'm Mark Benani, and with the film adaptation of the Broadway musical 13 hitting these small screens this week courtesy of Netflix, I thought it was the perfect time to take a look into this modern middle school musical which holds a very cool record in the annals of Broadway history. So without further ado, here are 13 facts about 13 the musical.
Lay it on me.
First off, let's start with what the show is about. 13 tells the story of Evan Goldman, a young man who is, you guessed it, 13 years old.
Oh, I did not see that coming.
And this kid's got a lot going for him. He's popular, he's got a great family, and he lives in New York City, which we all know is the greatest city in the world. But all that changes when his parents announce they're getting a divorce, and what's more, Evan's mom informs him they're moving to Indiana. Can Evan navigate the jungle of middle school in a new town while also preparing for his all-important bar mitzvah? Well, you're gonna have to watch the movie to find out if you don't already know. No spoilers here. Fact number 2 about this show is that it is completely original, meaning it's not based on a movie or book or anything else. A rare breed on Broadway.
It's an original piece. Not everything has to be a remake.
Though I have to add that doesn't always mean artistic or commercial success. No, 13 was the brainchild of 2 of the show's authors, which brings us to fact number 3. The musical has a score by millennial favorite Jason Robert Brown, writing both music and lyrics. Jason Robert Brown is responsible for some of the best loved modern theater scores, having written songs for A New World, Parade, The Last 5 Years, Bridges of Madison County, and more. If you're like me, those are some of your favorite scores.
Wow, Bridges of Madison County.
The book for the show was written by Dan Ellish, an author whose works include the young adult novels Born Too Short, The School for the Insanely Gifted, the Worldwide Dessert Contest, and many others, as well as Robert Horn. Horn, who was brought onto the project during its pre-Broadway journey, won the Tony Award for Best Book of a Musical for Tootsie, and he's also written for several television series and films, such as Designing Women, Living Single, Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure, and the Teen Beach duology for the Disney Channel.
The best of the best of the best.
As I mentioned before, 13 was a totally original piece, so where did the idea come from? It started as an off-the-cuff statement by Jason Robert Brown. At a speaking engagement, Brown mentioned that after heavy shows like Parade and The Last 5 Years, he'd love to just write a show about a bunch of teenagers singing and dancing on the stage. Eventual co-book writer Dan Ellish was in the audience that day, and that statement struck a chord with him, and he sent Brown a copy of his book, Born Too Short. They set up a meeting, and they thought it'd be nice to do something together at some point. After a year or so of working on other projects, Jason Robert Brown came up with a brief one-paragraph outline of a story involving teens, sent it to Ellish, and the rest, as they say, is history.
History.
The show's journey to Broadway came by way of Los Angeles. A reading was held in early 2006 by LA's Center Theater Group, who would produce the eventual first full production of 13 at their Mark Taper Forum. The show, then directed by Todd Graff and choreographed by Michelle Lynch, opened January 7th, 2007. The next step on the road to the Great Bright Way was the Goodspeed Opera House in East Haddam, Connecticut. The legendary regional theater hosted the show's pre-Broadway run in May of 2008. The Goodspeed production featured an almost clean slate of cast and designers from the LA run, most of which now would stay with the show for its planned Broadway outing in the fall. The musical was now directed by Jeremy Sams and choreographed by Tony Award winner Chris Gattelli, one of my favorite people.
He's the best. He's the greatest.
The cast was now led by Graham Phillips in the lead role of Evan Goldman. Phillips had been seen in well-received roles in both the Metropolitan and New York City opera companies, and on screen as the middle child of Steve Carell in Evan Almighty, the title role in Ben 10 Race Against Time, and more recently as Prince Eric in ABC's The Little Mermaid Live in 2019.
And her voice, it's sweet as angels sighing.
Among the young cast was also Elizabeth Gillies, perhaps best known for playing Jade West on Victorious, and her co-star in that, pop star Ariana Grande, was also in the original cast of 13.
Shut up!
The 4-octave singer made her professional debut with the Broadway musical. Speaking of the cast list, that leads us to fact number 8, and that really cool Broadway record I mentioned at the beginning. With no adult characters actually present in the musical, 13 features an all-teenage cast. But to go one step further, the band for the musical was composed of all teenagers as well.
Teenagers everywhere!
The first show in Broadway history to have an all-teenage cast and band. That is pretty cool. And another cool aspect of the cast, there are 13 roles in the show. Yes, that's 13 13-year-olds in 13.
13 is the number of the day.
13 the musical finally made its way to Broadway, opening at the Bernard B. Jacobs Theater on October 5th, 2008. After opening to mixed to negative reviews, however, coupled with the fact that the country was in the midst of a big recession, the show closed on January 4th, 2009, after only 22 previews and 105 performances.
Son of a bitch.
There have been several professional and amateur productions of 13 since departing Broadway. Productions with revisions to the material by the show's creators have been seen in the UK, Belgium, Australia, Germany, Hong Kong, Israel, and of course in cities all across the United States.
It's true. It's everywhere.
Fact number 11 I find super interesting. There is a novelization of 13. Now, that in and of itself is not too noteworthy. Plenty of shows, both old and new, have had novelizations. But what makes this one interesting is that the deal for the book version of the musical was made before the show was ever produced.
What?
Book writer Dan Ellish was already a much-published author of young adult books, and Jason Robert Brown had a children's picture book coming out in 2008 based on the Shmuel song from the last 5 years, which, sidebar, I didn't know existed until researching this video, and I need to have it. Somebody send it to me. Jason Robert Brown, I know you're watching. Send one over.
I'm right on top of that, Rose.
Anyways, Jason Robert Brown's publisher for his book was interested in this idea he'd been working on about 13-year-olds and what they were going through, and a deal for the book was made. In 2007, when the musical was on its one-way trip to Broadway, Ellish and Brown got to work writing the novelization. The story is far more fleshed out, of course, than the musical, with many adult characters now present. In fact, the movie version that just came out uses many aspects of the novelization to flesh out the story for the film.
Logical.
The novel, when first published, also included a link to download a demo version of the song A Little More Homework from the musical, sung by Jason Robert Brown.
We all have a little more homework to do. Today turns today.
While some shows that have fairly short runs on Broadway are in danger of not getting a cast recording, that's certainly not the case with 13 the musical. There are 3 official cast recordings of the show: the original Broadway cast, an original London cast recording which is from a 6-performance run of the show presented by the National Youth Music Theatre at the Apollo Theatre in 2012, and an original German cast recording from 2013.
In German, das Leben ist Auto.
Speaking of the original Broadway cast recording, the album was recorded in late August, early September, right before the show started previews. As such, there are some major differences between the album and what opening night audiences heard. The song Good Enough, sung by the character Patrice, does not appear on the recording, and the songs Here I Come and Opportunity appear on the cast recording but were cut from the show in previews. A deluxe version of the original cast recording was released in 2009 with 2 new tracks reflecting additions and revisions to the score since Broadway. There will soon be a 4th recording of the show with the new film's soundtrack. Yes, that's the correct use of the term soundtrack. It is set to come out the day the film releases on August 12th. And that brings us to lucky fact number 13. a film adaptation was originally announced to be moving forward back in 2014 with CBS Films. The screenplay was to be written by Burt V. Loyal, perhaps best known for writing the film Easy A and the play Dog Sees God. Nothing came of that, of course, which brings us to this week when Netflix releases the film version of 13 with a screenplay by original co-book author Robert Horn. Tamara Davis is directing a young cast which, like every other incarnation of the show, is mostly made up of as-of-yet unknowns. But that does not necessarily apply to the adult ensemble for the film. As I mentioned before, many of the fleshed-out aspects of the young adult novelization of 13 were used when writing the screenplay, most notably the necessary inclusion of adults. This film stars Deborah Messing, Rhea Perlman, Peter Herman, and Josh Peck. Let me know what you think of 13 the musical if you've seen or heard it before. If not, has this video changed your mind at all? Are you going to go check out Netflix's version?
You know, I think I might just.
If this video releases when I think it will, you should be able to go watch 13 on Netflix right now. But before you do that, if you enjoyed this video, maybe learned something new, I would be forever grateful if you'd give this video a like right now. It doesn't take much effort on your part, and it helps this channel out a lot in that YouTube jungle. Be sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and go ahead and share this video with the 13-year-old in your life, or at least someone who acts like they're 13.
I think that was directed at you.
Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Mark Bonanni, this is Broadway by Ghostlight. I'll see y'all next time.